Hey guys! So today we are going to talk about weaknesses. So let's get into it. Now, what do I mean by weaknesses? Well, I mean that something that stressed me out a lot when I first started out, and in some fashions it's not such an issue today. I suppose it has to do with that I'm starting to realize more and more how things work in programming, and well, maybe your experiences differ, but I'm starting to kind of connect some dots, and I'm starting to see patterns in how things work, and it kind of is settling this worry I used to have. And the worry I used to have was that I was afraid that, it seemed at least, that programming is it's such a diverse field. Like, there's literally a million different things you need to know, and there's so many possible scenarios of things that could be going on, because let's not forget that programming is so universal that almost every single industry has need of it in some fashion. Because at the end of the day, what you're actually doing when you're writing software is that you're not writing software for the sake of software. You're writing it for a business, and you're trying to solve problems that are specific to a certain situation, right? You can write software that is for science. You can write software that is for a small web shop. You could write software that is for cars, embedded systems. You could write AI software. There's so many different variants of the type of software that you can write. And when I first started out, I felt that this was it was very exciting, but it was also extremely stressful, because as you can imagine, if you have this belief that you have to be good at all of these things in order to be a software developer, that means that you have to be, at least that's how it felt like to me. I felt like I had to be this super genius person who knew everything and could, well, a genius basically. That's how I felt, that you had to know all of these different fields and be an expert in all of these domains in order to be a software developer. And for me, it's actually the main reason why I didn't start programming as a professional earlier in my life, because I believed that I wasn't smart enough to do this. And although I passed that hump now, and I have a better understanding, or rather I took the leap, I tried it out, and I kind of just went for it. And today I'm very happy that I did so. I still have things that I absolutely suck at, and I realized that it seems to be less, the assumption that I had made that you had to be good at everything was very false. It was extremely false. What was more on the money was that you have a core skill set of things you need to be good at, and then depending on what type of programming you want to do, you get a job that is more suited or catering to that specific case. The way that I want to kind of explain this is that you will suck at certain things, and some things you were going to be good at. And if we're talking about things that you kind of have to just learn how to get around the things that you suck at. Like, take me for example. I have a few things in my portfolio of knowledge that I'm fairly good at, and those are the things that I usually do when I work. But then I have things that I'm extremely shitty at them, and that I'll give you a small list of things that I know that I suck at really, really bad. And I mean, if you ever see me make a video about any of these things, check my facts, because as I said, I completely suck at these things. But you see, it's okay to not be a master of absolutely everything. It just means that you have to consider these things when you're applying for a job or you're doing a certain task. So for me, example, I suck at mathematics. I have very basic knowledge of mathematics. I would be a very, very bad fit for a company that does advanced mathematics of any sort. That's one. For example, I'm also extremely bad at, virtually working in an environment where everybody's just kind of like everything is so chaotic that like there's fires burning absolutely everywhere all the time. I try to structure things and so forth. So for me, working in the sort of working in that way doesn't work. It messes up my way. I get very unproductive when there's a lot of chaos all the time. Apart from that, I suck I'm horrendously bad at networking. Everything that has to do with network communication and all that stuff, I only have very basic knowledge of that. I'm not a master of databases and effective optimization of databases. I suck at graphics, doing graphics programming, 3D animations, all that good stuff. I have only very basic knowledge of games programming. I also suck at that. What else do I suck at? Oh, embedded systems. I have absolutely like the bare bone minimum knowledge of how to program Raspberry Pis and program Arduinos, that sort of thing. I still have my Arduino set at home, and apart from making a few small LED lights blink and stuff like that, I haven't really played around with it more than that. So embedded systems, system levels programming, I also suck that's the thing that is up and coming for me, where I'm trying to learn it. So doing things such as operating systems, that sort of things, robotics, all of that stuff I suck at. And you see, the list can go on and on. I'll give you even more examples if you want. But see, the thing is that even though there are so many things that I am completely lost on or completely shit at, basically, it's okay. Because this is how massive and diverse programming is. You can suck at all of these things, and there's still plenty of job opportunities out there for you in other fields. There are things that are very universal for, I would say, every job that you will have. Logic is a big one, for example. Like having the ability to mentally structure things and logically consider a sequence of events and structuring things, that's a fairly universal thing for programming, and being able to concentrate and all of that stuff. And that I can do. But as I said, just because I'm good at that doesn't mean that I'm good at mathematics, for example. And the thing is that you're going to have to face these things about yourself as well. You're going to have to kind of start... Well, I can't really say that this is the way it's going to be for you. This is the way it was for me. When I realized that, because at first I felt a great deal of anxiety that, you know, I had all these things. And I mean, this is just a small list of things that I absolutely suck at. But there's even more things that I suck a little bit less at, but I'm not so good at, and so forth. And all of this anxiety in the beginning built up and made me very nervous whenever basically going into this field. But just take it from me, guys. You can't be a master of everything. You're going to suck at some things. And you're going to have to kind of live with this. You're going to have to figure out a way to be okay with not being a master of everything. And all I can tell you is that you don't have to. Take it from me. I know that whenever somebody challenges you to do something that you're not very good at, or that you're forced to... I mean, I've been in situations where I've had to do these sorts of things, but I'm not very good at them. And it feels horrible, but you kind of muscle through them and you make it very clear. At least that's what I found to be the best way to handle this, is to just tell your boss that, okay, I will do this, but I want you to know that I feel very uncomfortable now because I'm not very good at this, just so you know. Because then at least you have communicated that you're not very good at this thing, that you can probably do it, but it's probably better if somebody with more experience takes care of it, or somebody who's better at it. And that's okay. That's okay. I mean, how many times do you think there are plenty of times when my boss has asked me to do something that I know that I'm not as good at this thing. And it doesn't have to be any of the things that are on the list that I gave you. It could be, for me, it can be everything from domain-specific things that has to do with the product I'm working on. And I say, well, I'm not really so comfortable with this algorithm. it will take me a while to first learn it properly and then like improve it and do the things that you want. It's probably better if my colleague here takes care of it because he's been working with it for quite a while. And then my boss kind of shrugs and said, yeah, that sounds reasonable. Can you take over his stuff? And I said, yeah, sure, I can do what he's doing and he can take a look at this. And usually you find a way to work around these issues, and ideally you start working together. And I ask, well, if you want me to get good at this, if you let me pair program a little bit with my coworker, I can learn this algorithm too, and then probably next time I can do it. So try to kind of embrace these weaknesses, guys. At least that's what I found to be the most useful. Learn, like, do a little bit of self-reflection and figure out what it is that you really suck at. Because although it's not fun, ideally you want to be the best at everything, it's actually it's a bit enlightening, and it's actually very useful to have a good understanding of what you're really bad at. And I try to give what I'm bad at as much attention as what I'm good at, because it's just a way for me to know, or it's just when you know what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are, you actually get much better at making good decisions. That's what I've found, at least. Have a great day.